So my trauma was I was sexually assaulted by a classmate after a uni event one day. It was it was quite isolating in terms of I don't think I actually knew how. I did not know how to process what had happened, and I had a lot of baggage with blame and responsibility regarding it, and I also had a lot of fear around particularly social circumstances. So I found the whole thing very isolating. I would isolate myself from other people, and yeah, ultimately found it a really difficult thing to get through because I was doing it by myself and didn't know where to go for help and what help looked like for me, really. It was quite messy for a while. I saw a lot of therapists who it was a lot of just sitting down, and they gave me the space to talk for, whatever my session was, an hour on end. But that didn't really work for me. I found that really actually quite frustrating to not have anything back, and not. I often found with them, I was like, what can I do or what do you think, which is not a very helpful question, but I definitely didn't feel like I was getting the tools to get through what I had experienced, and I knew something was wrong, but that appeared to be what the world of therapy was for me. So I found it very frustrating until someone mentioned, hey, I know someone who does CPT, and it would be interesting for you to go and possibly meet with them and see what that is, because I was definitely going, I just feel like this is who I am now, and I've got no other options, and I'm frustrated that this is potentially how I'm gonna process this thing forever. Yeah. Yeah, it's very different now. I still get I still obviously have triggers, and I have emotions crop up from time to time, but instead of those things being debilitating and scary and things that I shut down with, they are things that I can go, okay, I recognize those emotions, or I recognize this situation and something that's happened in this situation, and I now have tools, and I have a toolkit that I can go, how do I use this so I can examine it and learn from it, and ultimately be stronger from it, rather than rather than someone that just can't do anything because of their emotions and the world around them. So it's really changed my worldview, and changed how I can process and feel empowered by my own emotions and my responses to situations in the world. It was hugely the commitment to this was so different. In the instance of other therapy, I would go in and essentially just sort of vent vent for an hour, and maybe get a few prompted questions about how does that make you feel, or and then what happened. But there was no one there going, explaining why I felt those things, or explaining how to deal with those feelings. And CPT was definitely frustrating at times, with having to be held accountable for my feelings, rather than just going, oh, I can say whatever I want, and then after the session's done, it's done forever, and I don't have to think about that. I actually had to go away, and I had to go, oh, John mentioned I need to I need I need to look at this stuck point, or I have to acknowledge this now, and that was quite scary and quite exposing. But also, those were the things that meant that I healed faster, and I got to process the thing. They meant I found the root of all the issues, and I could process them. And yeah, they weren't things that were huge problems in my life anymore. Life now is this is, I don't know if this is a really weird word to use, but it is so much less exhausting. I don't have to, it doesn't feel like I've got this huge emotional weight that I have to carry around everywhere and I don't have to be scared of when something crops up and I go, oh, that's something that reminds me of what happened to me. It is I feel more empowered in my emotions now, and I feel more empowered in what happened to me and the fact that it's just one tiny little bit of what defines me as a human being, whereas before it was something that felt like it was my whole entire human being and what made up all of me. It was about a year after after the trauma happened that I started seeking help, and then it was about a year again after that when I stumbled across CPT. And it was interesting because I don't think because the first therapy pretty much just plateaued how I felt. It maybe was, I think, halfway through it was actually amazing. Halfway through sort of the 12 weeks of CPT that we did, I think I started I noticed it for myself, the changes that suddenly I could notice the little things and go, oh, that's something I need to sit down and write about, or that's, now I don't think about, some trigger as being a huge detrimental thing that I worry about for hours on end. That was, about halfway through that process, I sort of went, oh, things are actually really changing for me.